Joining us now from Borno State is the Commissioner for Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement, Mutapha Gubio. We'll be engaging him on the current security challenges in Nigeria. Good to have you on Newsday, Commissioner.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. With the current situation in the country where there's so much bad news about, abductions and killings, it would be good to hear something positive for a change. So perhaps you can help us with that. How far have we gotten with reconstruction of communities that have been devastated by insecurity?
Since inception in government, our governor, the executive governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Omara MNI FNSC, has embarked on the mass construction of destroyed communities as a result of activities of insurgency. So far, we have constructed about 24 different destroyed communities, and some have now been fully resettled.
Well, your mandate seems quite straight: reconstruction, rehabilitation, and resettlement. How much work has been done in the 27 local government areas of the state? And would you say it is safe to return internally displaced persons to their ancestral homes in Borno State?
As I'm talking to you now, we have fully reconstructed the town of Ngamdu, about 300 houses. We have fully reconstructed the town of Ngoshe, about 200 houses. We have fully reconstructed the town of Marti, about 500 houses. We have 500 houses in Ajiri of Mafa local government. We have 400 houses in Kauri of Kunduga local government. We have also fully reconstructed the town of Banki, a commercial town between Cameroon and Cameroon Republic, and therefore the activities of reconstruction is going fully well. We have so far resettled different communities, which include Vaga, a commercial town, a fishing town, between the boundary of Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, and Chad Republic. And therefore, activities of reconstruction and resettlement is going very well with the support of the governor and then the security agent.
Okay, just maybe...
And I asked you the second leg to my question. Would you say it is safe to return IDPs back home? I know you're doing this work, which is laudable, in the midst of increasing insecurity. But would you say it is wise and safe to return them home?
Yes, as far as the security situation is concerned, and as I'm talking to you now, those communities that have fully been restored now are safe, and there was not any incident of insecurity reported since we have resettled them. The town of Vaga, which we resettled last month, and then the Marti, which we did recently, and at the same time, the town of Ngoshe, Kauri, and Ajidi. I think those towns which we resettled them, there was not any incident of insecurity reported. And before we even resettle the IDPs, from the IDPs come to the ancestral home, we have to make sure that there is security clearance from the Nigerian army and make sure that there's not any security threat before we take people back home, because the return is voluntary. And therefore, we have to return people with dignity and pride.
Okay, you've started to embark on the answer to my next question, which is really, we'd like to understand what the process of resettlement and rehabilitation involves so that people can understand your capacity, one, to deliver on that, and also to reassure people that these people are getting the necessary support they need to start afresh.
Yes, process of resettlement includes the reconstruction of the destroyed communities, and at the same time, after the construction of those communities, we make sure that before even we embark on the construction of the communities, the security, the environment of that town, at the same time, the community, there is no any security threat. After reconstruction, we will now profile those living in IDP camps to see that we return quite a number of people, households, to their ancestral home. And when we're sending them back, government will give them stipends, starter packs, and then livelihood materials, which include food items and non-food items, to start off kick off the phases of their life in their ancestral homes.
Sorry, bear with me. I just want to tag this on because the issue of rehabilitation is quite a sensitive one. I am privy to some information regarding the Chibok girls and their families who, it would seem, have been neglected, and some of the parents were quite distraught at that. So can you help us again understand, that beyond giving them starter packs, is there anything done towards counseling them and helping them settle in terms of mental health and just get back into normal life?
And that is why government is building skill acquisition centers across the state to see that we provide them with job opportunities to train them in different trades in the area of mechanics, welding, carpentry, all about 10 to different trades, so that can provide a means of livelihood, and then subsequently they will be employed, self-employed, to become useful to the societies. And government is doing a lot to see that we provide job opportunities to returnees and IDPs from Nigerian IDP camps, and then refugees who are returning from neighboring countries.
Earlier when you were responding, you mentioned clearance from the military before you resettle inhabitants of those areas. I want to know if this clearance applies to everybody coming back to Borno State. And the reason I'm asking is because of the unfortunate incident where we saw scores of farmers killed in Jejere local government area. And the military said, and the spokesperson to the government said, there was no clearance for them to return. Perhaps you want to clear if everyone returning to Borno needs a clearance, including farmers and, you know, the IDPs you are resettling. And secondly, I want to ask you, this must be a huge challenge to reconstruct, rehabilitate, and resettle those who have been sent out of their homes because of insurgency. What are the biggest challenges you face?
Well, the biggest challenges as far as the reconstruction is concerned now is the issues of rising costs of building materials, and at the same time, the transportation of building materials after procurement to construction site. And we are doing our best to see that despite lean financial resources, government is doing its best to see that we procure building materials to our various construction sites to allow the construction of those destroyed communities to continue. And at the same time, we try to see that we make every arrangement possible to transport those procured materials, building materials, to the construction site so that activities of reconstruction would not bring to fall.
And the other question about clearance.
Coming to our first question, yes. Coming to our first question, the issues of the Barbaric community is different from the one we are talking about, because issues of resettlement and reconstruction has to do with those areas that has been destroyed by Boko Haram as a result of the activities of the Boko Haram, and now those areas has been fully liberated. After liberation of those communities, government is doing its best to see that reconstruction of those communities is done, at the same time subsequently return people back to the ancestral form. And I'm talking to you now, after returning those communities, there was never an incidence of insecurity or any threat from any criminal act as a result of insurgency or any other criminal activities. And coming to a second question, those challenges of building material, as I told you, before we even transport building material, we make sure that if the road, there's a kind of security threat along the road from the source to the construction site, we try to get military clearance or escort convoy of militaries to see that we transport through the escort of the military to the building site, the construction site. And therefore, I think government is doing its best, security agents have been their best to see that we do what is good to the people of Borno State.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mutapha Gubio, Commissioner for Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement. Thank you for giving us some of your time there.